Now that we are back into Final Cut with our media loaded in our library, you can, again, minimize that window or minimize that other window to create more screen real estate. What we want to do is come up into that window and select all the files. Command A or Apple A on your keyboard will allow you to select all of the images that you just imported, and we want to bring them down into a new project. So we're going to have to title a new project, in our case stop motion, and that project will also show up in your library. So there's one additional file up here. It shows you that there's a stop motion project being created right now, and then the files are still currently selected. You could either drag and drop all of these files into the project window, into your timeline, or you can also hit one of these options. The last one, the append edit, will drop your pictures into your video timeline. And when it does this, because you're dealing with pictures and not video itself, it's going to ask you what video properties do you want to be dealing with. Our final project is going to be 720, not full HD 1080. So we want to make sure we're 720p. The resolution is fine, 1280 by 720. And all of our projects will be 2997. So we're going to select OK. Now, if you take a look at your timeline and where all these photos are being placed, you can see that each photo appears for 10 seconds by default. That is not what we want. You're going to want to shorten this down so that way your stop motion and your movement, as you can see here, takes place in real time, not at the speed at which I'm currently scrolling on the screen. So to change that, with the project window selected, I'm going to hit Apple A or Command A once again and select all of these files. And then I'm going to click, or actually I'm going to type Control D to activate the duration window in the center of my screen. So this just became blue, which means it's looking for what duration do I want to assign to these files. And in our case, because you're creating stop motion, trying to stick to 10 to 14 frames per second means you're going to have to crush this down. As we already set, we're already working with 30 frames per second. So if we come in and let's just get started with 3 frames and hit enter, each of the pictures has now been smashed down so that way it's only on screen for 3 frames. So this plays through much more quickly. The end result should be a file that's much closer to 10 seconds in total duration if we took the 100 photographs that were assigned than we were several minutes long. So again, the duration has just been crushed down on all of these files. Now if you wish to see these and fill the entire project window up with these files, you can hit Shift-Z. We'll zoom to fit each file as best as possible onto the screen or onto your project window. So it's kind of nice that it'll fill the screen up by just hitting Shift-Z. Now if I hit the space bar, you can see that my stop motion is beginning to take some form here, and that we are sliding across the stairwell. All right, there's some things we need to do to this, some cropping to make sure that each of the images fills the window. But for now, we have put it in and we've essentially started to create our stop motion. If there's a section of your project that should be shown faster or slower, you can shift-click a range and slow it down, again by hitting Control D. So instead of being 3 frames long, you could change it to 4. And it'll increase the duration of each of those photos to 4 frames, which will now allow you to see that the speed at which he's moving is slightly slower. And again, if that's not enough, you can Control D and go to 5 and make those files just a little bit longer. And this is where you can begin to play around with the speed at which your video project's playing back.